The King's Birthday Clash, as they have named it, all royal drama at the G, celebrating the birthday of a bloke who doesn't even live here, whose birthday it actually isn't. It makes sense, doesn't it? But welcome to the wonderful game of AFL. It was a blockbuster game and the stakes were sky high. The Pies, they're top of the tree, they are humming at the minute. And the Ds, they had a bit of a mid-season burst of form, but recently they have been stuttering. What followed was a gritty, greasy, and a glorious mess of the wonderful game that we all come to love called Australian rules. There was lots of tackling, lots of goals at right key stages, and some real standout performances. But the final act, the spiritual king of Melbourne, Max Gawn, made a rare error going from hero to heartbreak, and Will Hoskin-Elliott managed to seal the deal by kicking backwards. It was a classic King's Birthday Clash. But we're going to ask the question, did Melbourne blow it? Or are the Pies just too seasoned to lose these tight ones? Let's break it all down after that intro. So let's break this game down into the four quarters of football. The first quarter was tightly contested. The ball seemed to live in Collingwood's front half, and both teams seemed to struggle to adapt to what was greasy conditions. It was fumbly, there was chaos ball entries, and it felt like a bit of ping pong was being played. 2 goals to each, no separation, there was no rhythm, but it was a frantic fright for both sides. In quarter 2, the Pies began to do what the Pies do, opening the game up. Sidebottom just taking the piss as he has done all year, seems to be Evers 21 at the minute. And Will Hayes, he managed to get a very clumsy 50-metre penalty and get his first. Melbourne continued, though, to get the ball inside 50. But as much was the case of this game, they couldn't convert and get any real scoreboard pressure. In quarter 3, Stephen May really did find some form. He was orchestrating everything down the back. Pickett was doing his usual of just absolute miraculous football. And Bailey Fritsch, as always, working tough, kicking snags. But every time Melbourne got close, the Pies killed them on transition, as they often do. And quarter 4 was chaos. Melbourne hit the front, Pickett and Fritsch combining, and then the MCG was really ready for a blockbuster finish. Collingwood, though, as they do, grinded back behind after behind until the final play, gone miskicked, game done. It was a knife fight in a phone booth at times. You couldn't look away. But Collingwood, as often is the case in these tight ones, if you don't kill them on the scoreboard, they will always come out on top. Let's look at the tactics in this game. Collingwood, they just trust the system, the structure. They constantly have release options, and their ability, when the pressure is on, to play slow, keep the ball, be disciplined, find space and spread when they need to, is exemplary. And this comes down from their veteran leadership, in my opinion. Pendlebury and Sidebottom control the tempo, don't look panicked, they slow it down when they need to, but then they always look for high percentage plays. And defensive accountability, Jeremy Howe is in career best form at the minute. Moore and Quaynor reading the chaotic entries with precision and set up springboard attacks at will. But it's what they do off the ball that impresses me. They always have an out of the back handball chain, ready to release pressure, players running in clusters, running on, trusting their guys to win it. Melbourne, their clearance tournaments, they were strong, plus 10 in clearances. Gawn was enormous in the follow-up work as well. Plus 9 inside 50s. And they're going to talk about umpire decisions. They dominated the stat sheet. This is where I find AFL really peculiar at the minute. When a team should win, we're looking for an indecision and saying that Collingwood are teacher's pets. Facts are, you've got to win the game. They had a tag job on Daicos, which was impressive. Only 4 touches for Ed, but did restrict Nick. But again, Nick did find opportunities, and when he did, there was a lot of free kicks given away to him that, yeah, you could argue they were soft, but that is the risk you play when you are literally watching him tag him as he ties his shoelaces. And then there's that emotional validity of this side. The blowout between May and Gawn says to me everything that's wrong with Melbourne. They seem to look for the wrong things to complain about. This is another game where you dominate in the guts, but the forward line is like a haunted house. And it's a ghost of missed chances that will come back and scare you on the scoreboard. Melbourne have to take some accountability here that they were the better side statistically, but the only stat that counts is the goals you score. And unfortunately, again, they were wasteful. And this is what happens with the Pies. That perceived pressure gets you in the end. Let's look at the 3 players that did stand out. Josh Daicos, he won the Neale Daniher Medal. 34 touches, 11 marks, running with power, clean. He was the metronome of this game. Sidebottom, 1 key goal as well. Leadership in spades and controls the game. Really does. Knows when to go wide, knows when to go back in the corridor. And Isaac Quaynor, underrated in this, match-saving spoils. After last year where he was a little bit hot and cold, he really has found that really nice niche for him. Max Gawn, he was very strong, dominated in the clearances, more 24 hit-outs than Cameron. Marked everything, was life-saving at times. It's heartbreaking that the final kick is what we're going to talk about. But a big reason that Melbourne were in this game and were the better side for large patches comes down to his defensive craft. Bailey Fritsch, 3 goals after half-time, front and centre Crumming, sharp finishing, lethal. He is lethal and could have had more. And Josiah Pickett, ridiculous goals, constant menace throughout, made things out of nothing. And a big shout out to Will Hayes, first goal, reward. McRae backed him in, and it was good to see him getting just rewards. Let's look at the tail of the tape, though. 49 hit-outs to 21 in Melbourne's favour. 39 clearances to 29 in Melbourne's favour. Inside 50s, 54 to 45 in Melbourne's favour. Efficiency inside 50, 42.2%. For the Pies, 38.9% for them. And timing the forward half, more for Melbourne, 49.4% for Collingwood, 50.6% for Melbourne. This isn't the umpires. This is, you've done your job. You couldn't finish it. You should have won. And the momentum swings. Collingwood taking control, mass amounts of uncontested possessions in the second quarter, really allowing to play keep offs. In quarter 4, mass amounts of intercepts from Melbourne, no execution. Defining stat, plus 10 clearances, plus 24 hit-outs, says everything. Inefficiency, can't finish your work. Let's look at the talking points. Should May's public reaction to Gawn be a sign of passion or a punishment? Well, I mean, it's good to see they care, but I do think Stephen May made some key errors at times as well. It was a bad look. Was it smart sacrificing Ed Langdon's dash and width to tag Daicos? Yes, it had an effect, but they didn't win the game. And you know me, I'm a firm believer that a tagger has to output. Are Collingwood the best drilled team in the competition? This is another close win. They seem to bank them up. And one thing that is for sure, when they're under pressure, they never look hurried. Will Melbourne regret not going after a key forward in the off-season? I feel like they will. 1 point win. Max Gawn just failed at the end. Steele Sidebottom masterclass. Which moment stuck out for you the most? Collingwood, breathe easy again. Heading into the bye, while Melbourne leave the G haunted by what-ifs. It was a win for composure, a loss for emotional control, and a King's Birthday Classic. Make sure you like, subscribe, chuck your thoughts into the comments. Did Melbourne lose this? Or did the Pies snatch it? Steele Sidebottom. He might be 250 years old, chat, but he still makes opponents look like they're on roller skates. Long live the king of the big freeze. Thank you very much for watching. I'm out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.